The member from Essex.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Speaker, the government has announced that it is looking for public input into setting up a third-party certification program for compliance with Ontario's accessibility legislation, the AODA. By third party, of course, this government means privatization, and any input is already being considered through this lens. This government shouldn't be interested in accessibility for Ontarians facing barriers because it's commercially viable or opens new markets. The government should be invested because it's in fact the law. How will this government ensure 10 years after the Accessibility for Ontarians Disability Act will finally be enforced?
Thank you, Premier.
Minister of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure.
Minister of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure.
Much to the temptation to go otherwise, I want to respond to the member's question. Yes, indeed, Mr. Speaker. While I was at an event with Colleges Ontario yesterday, where Rick Hansen was speaking as the motivational speaker, we were talking about an initiative that Rick Hansen has been a champion of. Mr. Speaker, that's looking at ways that we can reach out to the business community and recognize, Mr. Speaker, those businesses that are excelling in becoming accessible, similar to the way the LEADS program works with gold, platinum, bronze. Mr. Speaker, the leading person in this and the leading organization in doing this thus far in Canada has been Rick Hansen and his foundation. Mr. Speaker, we would be open to others doing this kind of work as well, but surely, Mr. Speaker, the member doesn't have a philosophical problem with this government working with Rick Hansen on accessibility.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Speaker, Rick Hansen certainly is one of our most revered advocates for people with disabilities. But unless the government intends on having Rick do the enforcement part of the AODA, I don't think you're actually going to be able to follow through with your commitments. And thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Speaker, my brother is a quadriplegic. We know the barriers that people with injuries face. Advocates, disability advocates, have been clear they don't need certification. They need enforcements of the AODA. What does it matter if the source of the barrier has been certified? How will you enforce? After 10 years, how will you enforce the AODA?
Mr. Speaker, I know that this member cares a lot about this issue, and we do as well. And we're going to take our advice, Mr. Speaker, from experts like Rick Hansen, Mr. Speaker, because nobody knows better than Mr. Hansen when it comes to these issues. And, Mr. Speaker, we're going to use models that work and have worked in the past. And it's really important that we change the dynamics in this province and across this country when it comes to business perceptions about the needs and importance from a business case in becoming accessible. There are many ways we can do that. Compliance is one of them, Mr. Speaker. Enforcement is another. But it's really important that businesses embrace our ability to become accessible. And a LEADS-like program in Ontario would be a first in Canada and something we're working very close with the likes of Rick Hansen to achieve. We're proud of that, and I would expect the member ultimately to support.
Thank you.